All right, welcome. Today, we are going to tackle one of the fastest ways to boost your IELTS writing and speaking score. And hey, it's probably not what you're thinking. It's not about memorizing a ton of new vocabulary. It's all about mastering one super simple tool that turns your good ideas into really powerful, high-scoring arguments. Ready to see what it is? Have you ever had this feeling? You know your stuff, right? You've got strong opinions, great examples, but the score you get back just doesn't seem to match up. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's a super common problem, and it usually boils down to just one missing piece of the puzzle. Okay, so here's the deal. The problem is what I like to call a logic gap. This is what happens when you have two great sentences, but the examiner can't quite see how they connect. They're left trying to figure it out on their own, and boom, that's where you lose those precious points for coherence. But hey, don't sweat it, because there's a really powerful and honestly easy-to-use solution. Think of it as your secret weapon, the key to bridging that logic gap and making everything you say just flow. And that weapon, it's the good old conjunction. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait, conjunctions? Isn't that like middle school grammar? And yeah, you're right. But for IELTS, they are so much more than that. They're literally the glue that holds your entire argument together, making it strong and clear. So here's the big mindset shift I want you to make. Stop thinking about these as boring grammar rules. I want you to start thinking of them as bridges. Every single time you use one correctly, you're building this sturdy bridge that guides the examiner smoothly from one idea right to the next. No confusion, no gaps. And that just screams, I've mastered this language. Okay, so to build these amazing bridges, you're going to need the right tools, right? So let's build out your personal conjunction toolkit. I'm going to give you the exact words you need for pretty much any situation you'll run into on the exam. All right, tool number one in our toolkit, showing contrast. These guys are your best friends when you need to talk about two different sides of a story, or maybe acknowledge a point before you come in with your own. Now, let's get specific, because not all these words do the same thing. Think of it like this. However is perfect when you want to introduce a point that directly opposes what you just said. Although is a bit more subtle. You use that when you want to say, yeah, this part is true, but this other part is way more important. And on the other hand, is your go-to for presenting a really balanced two-sided argument. See how they each have their own little job? Okay, next step in the toolkit, cause and effect. These are absolutely crucial. You use them to show the consequences of something, to explain why things happen. It's like setting up a row of dominoes. One action logically leads to the next. Words like these are basically a big signpost for the examiner. Therefore, and consequently, are pretty formal and great for saying, because of what I just said, this happened. As a result, does pretty much the same thing. When you use these, you're making your logic impossible to miss. It becomes crystal clear. And the last tool for today's toolkit is for adding more information. You'll love these. They're what you use when you've made a good point and you want to double down and make it even stronger with more proof. Yeah, these are total powerhouse words. See, when you drop in a moreover or furthermore, you're basically telling the examiner, hold on, I'm not done yet. I've got even more to support my case. It makes your argument feel so much more robust. In addition, it's just a nice, clean way to tack on another related point. So, there you have it. Your toolkit is ready. But what does this actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's check out the blueprint for turning simple sentences into something way more sophisticated. Okay, check this out. The before example. Cities have many job opportunities. They suffer from high pollution. I mean, it's fine. Two simple facts, but they feel separate, right? There's that logic gap. But now, look at the after. Cities have many job opportunities, however, they suffer from high pollution. See that? Just one little word, however, and suddenly it's a complex, smart-sounding sentence. It's concise, it's fluent, it's sophisticated. And believe me, this is exactly what the examiner wants to see. When they read something like that, this is the kind of note they're making in their head. It shows you're not just listing ideas, you're actually building a real logical argument. All right, so what's the big takeaway here? It's actually pretty simple. If you want that top score, you have to master the flow of your argument. And the key to that flow, you guessed it. It's all about using those conjunctions in a smart way. And you can do this every single time with this simple 3-step process. Step 1, just state your first idea. Get it out there nice and clear. Step 2, this is the important part. Pause. Think for a second and choose the right bridge from your new toolkit. Are you contrasting, showing a result, adding on? And then step 3, connect your second idea, making sure it follows on logically. Simple as that. When you start thinking this way, in terms of building bridges, you stop just listing facts and you start building powerful, persuasive arguments. So really, the only question left is, what's the first argument you're going to build?